Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and we're here today with special guest, Darius Kingsley, Head of Consumer Banking Practices at Chase, who's here to share with us how older adults can avoid fraud. According to the FBI, individuals 60 and older experienced nearly $4.9 billion in losses to scam in 2024. Scams are becoming more common and more advanced, and it's important to know the signs of fraud and scams and how to protect ourselves and our loved ones from financial loss. So welcome to the show, Darius Kingsley.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me today.
What an honor it is to have you here and to talk about this. What are some of the most common scams that you see targeting older adults right now?
Yeah, so older adults are really targeted these days, by a lot of tech support scams. So that's a classic one that's been out there for a number of years, really rising. You get the pop-up on your computer, you get an email saying you have a virus, or maybe there's a problem with your software. That's one where I think a lot of older people, most of us are online, we bank online, so that definitely throws us. Impersonation scams is another category. That can be a bank impersonation. Those are really growing these days. So you get a call or a text saying it's from your bank, or maybe law enforcement. That's another one too. It could be the FBI. Maybe, unfortunately, they say you're being investigated, or your bank is being investigated. And then another kind of impersonation scam you see is a grandparent scam. You get that call from your that grandchild, and they're in a crisis. And then lastly, I'd say the other big category, and this is kind of another like one that's been around unfortunately for decades, it's investment scams. So in the old days, it used to be about penny stocks, an amazing investment. You're leaving a lot of money on the table. These days, a lot of those penny stock scams have switched to crypto scams. Look, a lot of older Americans have worked hard their whole lives. They've saved. They have a lot of savings and investments. And so that's really why they're targeted by these scammers.
Well, they definitely need help from caregivers and adult children. So, how can we verify if the calls and the pop ups are legitimate?
Yeah, you said something there that they definitely need a lot of help from caregivers and children and other family members. So uh, I want to I'll start there. I think that's a great suggestion. One thing we don't do is we don't talk about this stuff enough with our family members. And so if you get a strange call out of the blue, if you get a text alert, if you get an email, whatever it is, whether it's good news or bad news, good news, you've won the lottery, or bad news, you're being investigated. It's a great place to start. Reach out to a family member. So many of us don't do that. Reach out to someone else, run it by them before you respond, get their take on it. There's no embarrassment. We're all getting these scams and emails. Even I get them, have a hard time figuring out sometimes if they're legit. So talk to someone. That's one thing you should absolutely do, and I love that. Another thing is just keep in mind, like always have your guard up anytime anyone sort of reaches out to you for anything that you weren't expecting. Again, you get that phone call, you get that alert that there may be fraud on your account, and it's your bank. Just be very suspicious, and especially should you find yourself talking or corresponding with any of these people, the moment they ask you for any personal info, they're asking you for your bank details, your social security number, anything that can be used to identify you. They shouldn't need to be asking you a lot of these things. So again, like that should be hopefully triggering a lot of alarm bells for you.
So, what are some of the warning signs of fraud and scam that we should all be aware of?
I would say, look, kind of like what I was just saying, if it seems off, it probably is. You should be very suspicious. So that's a very big warning sign. Is again these anything kind of coming out of the blue, and so like if you get that call from your bank, um, don't reply to it. Don't reply to any phone numbers in the texts. Don't call the number back that they gave you. Pick up your bank card. Call the back of your bank card. Um, and definitely don't, like I said before, don't give out any personal details. So if you are in doubt, don't respond. Form your kind of trusted circles is another recommendation I have. So, one thing I find myself telling more and more people, and I've heard this really helps a lot of families. Come up with a code word within your family, just in case any of you do get a phone call, and someone's in jail, there's been an accident, you have your kind of code word you can share among your family. And, so I really recommend, again, to kind of talk to everyone, just have your guard up all the time.
Are there any tools we can use to protect ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot you can do. First, you should familiarize yourself with kind of generally the frauds and the scams out there. So we have a lot of great resources on our own website, chase.com/security. We call it the Security Center. We've got a ton of information out there. Um, and one really important thing you should do is make sure that you've enabled fraud alerts. So, a lot of us maybe have turned them off. Maybe they're not all on automatically. So go into your account, make sure you have all of your fraud alerts set up, um, and turn those on. Another thing you might want to consider doing is signing up for some kind of credit monitoring. So we at Chase offer that, for example. It's called Credit Journey. It's free to customers and it's free to non-customers. Even if you don't bank at Chase, you can sign up for it. And it comes with identity monitoring, and it'll notify you if your data is breached and found on the dark web. I really recommend you go in and check out Chase's Credit Journey or anything similar at your own account.
What a great resource. It's so good to know. What should we do if we suspect that ourselves or a loved one has been scammed?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And a lot of us panic and don't know what to do. And sometimes some of us stay frozen, for a couple of days while we're trying to figure it out. First thing you should do is stop communicating with the scammer or the fraudster. Unfortunately, a lot of us keep talking to them, to just cease communication. Don't pick up the phone again if they call. Don't call them back. Don't text them back. And immediately contact your bank. Call them up, and don't call them at any number that the scammer or the potential fraudster gave to you. Again, pick up your debit card and your credit card. I can't say this enough, and call that number, because you should notify your bank of the scam or the fraud. And the sooner you do that, the sooner your bank is going to be able to kind of shut everything down and stop the activity. Then what you want to make sure, once you've done that and you've talked to your bank, and they may give you some guidance and next steps, but you should go back in and check your computer, change your passwords, get the really important passwords, your email, your bank, your investments, get those changed up. And then don't delay in going and filing a police report too, because unfortunately, a lot of us are not really reporting this. We don't really know. We don't have great data around all of this, and you may need the police report later on. When you're dealing with your bank.
So many people don't think of the importance of filing a police report. I would never think about that.
Yeah, and another place you should go if you can is go file a report with the FTC, so the Federal Trade Commission. They definitely collect those reports, and it all gets fed up into kind of a greater database, and they take a lot of that data, and the government does try to use it, give it to the FBI, and they do try to investigate these scammers. So, it is important to report this information.
At the Chase website, there are so many great resources there. And one of the things I noticed, it talked about scammers they'll tamper with checks. So, how can we identify if a check's been tampered with or not?
Yeah, that's a great call out. Checks are definitely something that check fraud has been around as well for as long as checks have been around. It is kind of amazing how good scammers are these days. Modern chemicals, they can dissolve signatures or ink on your check. So if you get a check from someone, especially if it's an unexpected check, you know, definitely like something you weren't expecting, definitely take a look at it. Look for anything that seems odd, different, handwritings or anything that looks altered on it. If in doubt, take it to your bank, show it to them. If someone sends you a check out of the blue, and you see this unfortunately a lot, It's a very common scam. You get a check, you deposit it, and immediately the person says, "I gave you too much. I gave you, $4,000, and I meant to only give you 400. Can you send me the money back immediately?" And of course, it's a fake check, and it bounces. So, definitely, if you get a check that you were not expecting, really be kind of suspicious of it. Take a close look at it, and as you write your checks, I think it's common knowledge, but like it's always a good reminder. Definitely use permanent ink. Write clearly. Make sure you don't leave a lot of extra space where you're putting in the dollar amounts and so on.
Where can our listeners go for more information?
Well, I'd send you back to chase.com/security. We have a lot of information on that website. So we'll give you a list of kind of all the various scams out there, the common ones. We definitely keep it updated. We're updating it all the time. So as things change, we'll go in and update it. We've got information on there like the question you just asked, like kind of best practices around checks. We have information on what to do if you suspect you've fallen for a fraud or scam. So definitely check that out. And if you don't bank at Chase, look at it anyway. But your financial institution probably has something similar.
Well, Darius, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Great. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you, Darius. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about how we can avoid financial scams with resources at Chase Bank. Make sure to visit chase.com/financial-abuse for more information. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Mary Ann is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Mary Ann will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmaryann.com for more information.